Have you ever been visited by a pet after they've died? I have. Let me tell you the story. Stay tuned. So for those of you who've ever had a pet that you were close to, a cat, a dog, a horse, other sort of animal, we all know that these bonds between humans and animals can be very strong and significant. We've always had dogs in my family all my life, and mostly poodles and mixes or rescue dogs, but we had one special dog that we got when I was a kid. My father was in the military, and we lived overseas, and we lived on the economy. Sometimes the military families don't always live on the base. Sometimes you live in the civilian areas outside of the base. And when that happens, there's less people around, less English-speaking Americans in the area that you can affiliate with, unless and until you learn the local language. You're kind of isolated. So what's very common is that when you live on the economy, families will get a pet. So you have, a friend to play with. So my mom picked me up from school one day, and when I was walking to the car, there was a dog that jumped into the windows, shaking its tail, wagging its tail, a little white and golden colored half Cocker Spaniel, half Poodle. And her name, as was given to her by a previous owner, was Schotzie. Schotzie is German, which means treasure, or another way of saying sweetheart. It was a cool name, Schotzie. Anyway, I was very close to that dog. We had her like 15, 16 years. And then one day when I was in college, I was out front of our house working on my car when someone came around the corner hollering for me, saying, hey, your dad ran over Schotzie. And of course, it felt like a heart attack. So I ran to the back of the house, and I saw my dog in the grass in the lawn, and she was kind of like standing up, and she put her head down between her feet and her body. She just set it down really easily. And my mom and my sister and my dad and some friends were all there around in a circle, and everybody was it was pandemonium. It was chaos. Everybody was yelling and screaming. And what had happened was, as she was older, at the time she was about 15 or 16 years old, and she was losing her hearing, so she would lay out on the concrete to sun herself on a nice day. My father was inside of his workshop working on his truck, and he got in his vehicle and he was backing out. It was a little Nissan truck, compact truck. It wasn't very heavy, but as he started backing out, he felt a bump, and I wasn't there, but other people who witnessed it said that he went, either he hit her a little bit or he went over her, I don't know, with the back wheel of this truck. And then somebody went and scooped her up and put her on the grass. It might have been my sister. I didn't see it, I just was told. And that's when I came running around the corner. I saw her just kind of like going down really easy. She was wounded. I guess they tried to set her up on her legs, and she couldn't stand, and she just was kind of going down like that. So immediately, we grabbed a piece of a piece of plywood. We put her on that. We jump in my sister's car, and she's driving. I'm in the back of the vehicle holding this piece of board with my dog on it. My mother was sitting in the passenger side. My dad stayed home, and somebody else was with us in the car, and we floor it to the veterinarian. Like, we're going down the highway as fast as we could go to try to get her some medical attention. Well, along the way, she started convulsing and having nerve reaction, and I didn't know, because I was looking at her and I was encouraging her to breathe because she was struggling. And I think she lost her bowels, but I didn't see that. The person sitting next to me saw it and kind of covered it up with a towel, and they saw that we were all grieving my mom, and the front seat was going freaking ballistic and screaming and upset. My sister was holding it together. She's 2 years younger than me. She was holding it together, watching the road, trying to get to the vet as soon as we can. She didn't see it go down, but I saw my dog pass away, and it was very sad. It was very traumatic. Nobody was expecting it. We thought she'd get old and die from old age, but it just happened so quickly. At any rate, we got to the vet, and when we arrived, the vet was like, obviously, she's gone. He couldn't do nothing. She already passed away. So we were all heartbroken, and so we leave her there in the vet, and he was going to take care of her to the next day, and we come home, and I was so upset. I was really mad. I went home, and I just started pounding on a punching bag, and then I just went for a run. I think I ran about 5 miles. I had to burn off some anxiety or what have you. I was upset. My dad felt really guilty. I mean, he was I could tell he was sad. He didn't mean to do it. He's not close to dogs. He doesn't really like animals, but that's just because I think when he was young, he might have lost a dog and it was too traumatic for him, and he just didn't want to repeat it for good reason. And here we go, doing it again. So anyway, the next day we go pick up her body. My father that night had dug a hole to bury her in, and the next day we built, he and I, my dad and I, we built a little box, a wooden box for her, and we put her little bed inside of it and her little toys and her little things. And when we went to pick her up from the vet the next day, we put her in the box and we buried her in the backyard. You know, and I think my mom said some words, and we buried her, and there was a mound of dirt where she was, and man, I was not taking it very well. You know, and all my life I hardly ever cry, but I cried when that dog died. And anyway, so that night I was not feeling very happy, and I used to sleep. My bedroom was on the second floor of our house, and the window to my room was on the side of the house, and it was high up, so I couldn't see the ground, but I could see the wall of the exterior of the house next to us, and there was a street light outside that would cast a light and kind of illuminate the wall. So I remember that night I was laying in bed. I could see out the window, the Venetian blinds were down, but I could see the light against the wall. I saw what looked like the shadow of a dog walking across. It was going from left to right, so it was coming this way, walking as if it walked in front of the light. And I remember seeing it, and I said, wow, there's a dog outside. And then a few seconds later, I felt on my bed what feels like when a dog jumps onto the bed. You feel like a boom, boom, and you feel the weight of the bed go down. And then I'm laying there and I don't see anything, and I feel like footsteps going bloop, 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 bloop across the bed, across my leg, my left leg. It felt like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 as it comes across, crossed over my left foot. And then, because my legs were, you know, I was laying on my back with my feet extended, and there was a little gap in the middle, and I felt like heavy steps in between, and then I felt a settling, like a weight settling between my ankles, like a dog was sitting down to go to bed or go to sleep right there between my ankles. I felt the pressure, and I had the distinct feeling that it was my dog Schotzie. And I remember feeling like an overwhelming sense of like calmness, like peace. And I wasn't scared. And it still makes me smile because I was feeling really bad. And it was kind of like, it's like she came back to reassure me that everything was okay. So then I was able to go to sleep. No problem. Next day, I get up in the morning, and I started thinking about it. I was like, wait a minute. How could I see a shadow of a dog walking across the top of this house when I know that the light is elevated? It's like a telephone pole, and that light is like, I don't know, 30, 40 feet off the ground. How high is the telephone pole? Street light. There's no light on the ground. It couldn't cast a shadow up. That made no sense. And I know I was awake because I wasn't getting sleep at that time. I was like, wait a minute. I wasn't dreaming. That happened. I know it happened because I fell asleep after. I saw the shadow, and I felt the footsteps, and I felt the settling. Well, I told the story to my sister and my mom because, you know, I was going to college at the time, and I was at home. My sister got this look on her face, and she says, wait a minute. She said, that happened last night? I said, yeah. She goes, oh. She said, I had something happen to me too, but it scared me. And I go, what do you mean? She says, well, I was laying in my bed, and I felt Schotzie jump on top of my bed. And she said, it scared me. And she says, and I was laying there, and she said, look, Schotzie, you're scaring me. Go away. You're scaring me. Go away. And so then when that happened, she said she felt it go away, whatever it was, and it never came back. So it was the same exact night, and she had the opposite experience that I had. I was at peace and I was happy, and I really truly feel in my heart that it was her, but she was scared and she told it to go away. At any rate, that happened. It was just to me and her only. Nobody else in my family experienced that, but for sure it happened. So does that mean that animals have souls? I don't know. Does it say that in the Bible? I don't think it ever says that animals have souls. Some people would argue adamantly that they do. I don't know if they do. Maybe they do. But I know that the connection, the human connection is there. When they're alive, you know, you've got a friend in that little animal, and they mean a lot to you. And I'm going to tell you about another dog on a different video. A dog that I named Shaka when I got him as a puppy, and I gave him to one of my best friends, who renamed him Charlie. And this Charlie dog, he was a golden retriever. I'll get into that later. But basically, the moral of this story is that, you know, I had an experience. Maybe you've had an experience with a pet that you've lost, and if you have, I would love to hear your story. Please send me a comment in the section below, or send me an email at, police, hang on. Okay, as I was saying, if you've had an experience that you'd like to share, or I would love to hear from you about a pet that's visited you after you've lost them, or who's come home after many years after being lost, or something cool like that, please send me an email at storytipline@gmail.com. storytipline@gmail.com. And I'll be glad to share it if you want me to online. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like it, please like and subscribe. And I've got lots of great stories. I'm going to start to put them out there on the internet because these are cool little things that need to be heard. So you have a great day. Spartan Commander out.